Welcome back, everyone, to Grit Daily Startup Show. This is Jordan French speaking, your host. I have a super exciting guest with, as you know, to pull back the curtain. We get to talk to our guests, at least for a little bit before we hop on. And she's coming in from none other than Zurich, Switzerland. I think we're going to learn a lot about Switzerland, possibly a lot more. Rachel Wright. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I'm excited to be here with you today.
I'm excited too. I think there's probably a geography lesson, in store. Maybe more, maybe more than one. But just to unpack a little bit more about sort of like your role in the role, because usually we don't have people on from Zurich, although you're super welcome, super welcome to have on here. A bit of a dabbler, right? Certainly in a lot of investing, a lot in the real estate side of things. And let's just hone right in, though, on some of the risks in the world. We're trading a lot in American dollars. We think about euros, but there's an overlooked currency that's right under the noses. Can you just share a little bit more about kind of your perspective with the Swiss franc?
Sure, of course. Well, I think, as you said, sometimes it's a currency that's not necessarily talked about so much and sometimes sort of forgotten a little bit. But it is a safe haven, right? It's known that when there's economic turmoil, the Swiss franc is always a safe haven, a currency that investors go to. So that is, definitely it reinforces the fact that Switzerland has, stable political and economic environment, which you can see with the very strong Swiss franc, even compared to the dollar. We can see that as the dollar fluctuates, sometimes much weaker to the Swiss franc has been throughout the years extremely strong, and it continues to be that way. So it's definitely a very stable and strong currency to be investing in and to keep on the long run.
Yeah, certainly, Rachel, and I think hard to find anyone who's not interested in that sort of thing. Everyone is always looking for that sort of arbitrage opportunity. To make that even more real, right? Let's marry the real estate conversation to that. Obviously, people could just go out in the open market or get in touch with maybe a Forex trader that they work with or don't. We've covered Forex before. But real estate is always sort of an even more natural place to parlay. Just share a bit more on your role there, too.
Sure. So, I run a Prestige Consulting, which is a real estate company. We mainly do brokerage, more luxury, higher end brokerage for investments, and we mainly do in Switzerland the Swiss Alps. So, which is, I think if we just look at Switzerland as a whole, the real estate, what we can say is that, for investments, it's a very secure investment. Switzerland has a very strong legal framework for foreign investors. We actually have, jumping into that, a project in Andermatt. We'll go probably and discuss that a bit later. In Andermatt, Swiss Alps, which is still one of the projects which allows foreign investors to gives them complete flexibility to buy in Switzerland, because Switzerland does have some restrictions on foreign ownership in real estate. So this particular project allows foreigners complete investment and also access to a transparent ownership structure and all the benefits that property in Switzerland gives in terms of investments and long-term potential gains.
Yeah, and certainly, and for people who are sort of following right along, we'll give this to them. You're at consultprestige.com. That's CONSULT, and then prestige, PRESTIGE.com. And this project, among others, is listed there, right, Rachel? So people can sort of
Yes,
dig in a bit.
yes,
Yep.
it is. Yeah, they can go and have a look, see what's currently on for sale. Beautiful penthouses, very beautiful, well done in project.
Yeah, fantastic. And then just to drill in a bit more, you mentioned that Switzerland has some rules around foreign ownership. Just so people are a little bit more aware at a surface level, what are you referring to?
So about I would say more than 20, well, maybe 40 years ago now, there was some laws established to avoid over foreign investment in Switzerland. And, the idea behind it was to avoid creating a bubble where then, there's issues and real estate prices that drop. So hence, this is also showing why through all these last 20 years, the Swiss real estate has been so stable. It maybe grows slightly, not in a quicker, not as fast pace as in some countries. However, there's a long-term stability to it, which is very attractive. And therefore, there was restrictions on how much and how many projects foreigners could purchase. And there's like a couple of sort of rigid rules as to, are you able to buy or not. And this particular project has been exempt from that. So it's very easy for foreigners to purchase it without going through a rather rigid structure to how to purchase.
Great. So, yeah, it sounds like you've worked that out, so you don't have to necessarily worry about that. I think generally real estate investors who do look at foreign investments are at least generally aware of that. There generally are restrictions, and I think almost everywhere. Some of them relate to, proximity to borders or certain amounts or certain residency requirements and so on. You also make a good point, sort of historically. We can nerd out a little bit on this, but that's the opposite of what happened in Switzerland. The opposite is what happened in Iceland, in Greece, Spain, I think also. I guess we're going back a little bit here, but you mentioned 20 years, so certainly open the door. There was certainly a stateside, but it's certainly in Europe a sort of European real estate crisis. And feel free to comment on that. But it sounds like Switzerland, due to those regulations, was able to at least shed or escape the large part of that.
Oh, yes, exactly. 100%. I mean, there was very little fluctuation or any crisis that's happened within more than 20 years in the real estate in Switzerland. So, it is really a market that people are looking for long-term, stable investments. And again, with this stable and very strong Swiss francs, it's also quite positive when you invest because you're not getting this risk of currency fluctuations. So it's very strong and stable on that side.
Yeah, thanks for sort of laying that foundation and painting a picture, and just diving a little bit more on the investment thesis, at least in Switzerland. I think there's more than a few perhaps household names, if we can call it that, at least in certain circles like entrepreneurial ones, investment circles. People are generally going to know the big cities, Zurich, Geneva, as we call it, sort of in English, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Basel certainly has gained a lot of popularity due to its sort of stateside Miami art exhibition, right? That happens every December. Maybe I'll give you one more. Where WEF occurs. I mean, every year at this point, everyone sort of understands the importance of Davos. But what might be cool is if you could just walk us through, sort of what are the lesser known names that are perhaps up and coming, maybe undiscovered. You mentioned one was Andermatt. We can dive into that and some of the others that might at least pique people's investigatory interest in real estate in Switzerland.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you didn't mention in terms of really sort of beautiful resorts, we've got Gstaad, which is, I mean, it's very well known, but it still keeps all its charm. I mean, Julie Andrews, so many people had their amazing properties there. That's still going strong. One of definitely the places that I would recommend when people come and visit and want, especially in the winter. But it's a all year region. I mean, you didn't mention Davos. There's all of these places, like there's Neuchâtel. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but that's kind of closer to the region where all the watches are made. I mean, we're thinking Switzerland, Rolex, all of the beautiful watches. That city is rather close to to where all of these manufacturers are located. And I mean, Andermatt is definitely, if we want to go back to that, is definitely a Swiss Alp village which is really now picking up. I mean, the development side is huge, so they have a very long-term vision to create this unique year-round area. Right now, it's still in the growth, so you're not seeing. I mean, we've touched upon before, right? That you actually went to see when you were in Switzerland. It's still developing, but the vision is pretty amazing. And I mean, it's really somewhere where you can have everything in terms of your golfing, your cycling, your hiking, wellness. It's safe, healthy. So that's definitely an upcoming resort. I mean, Zermatt, right? Also, I mean, that's a more famous one as well. Matterhorn. That's definitely one place worth to go and see.
Right, yeah, you called me out on it. I had gone to Zermatt. It was more than a few years ago. Sort of everyone kind of sees the iconic Matterhorn, right? And wants to sort of venture down there, and super privileged and lucky to have been able to go. To contrast that with Andermatt, yeah, from my perspective, and I was just there not even maybe 2 months ago. Uh, Great place to ski. Definitely much more seasonal, like you
Hmm.
remarked. But you sense it. You feel it that there's a lot of opportunity there, and certainly on, some sort of upward growth trajectory. I also
Yes.
observe is, maybe you're a big part of it, right? And that is sort of managing both expectations and managing actual growth. It probably doesn't make sense to sort of let things rip, right? And sort of like growth at all costs, right? It does seem there's a balance there, Rachel, to sort of maintain the sort of charm as you described, the sort of
Yeah.
quaintness.
Well,
Uh,
like in Switzerland, like the building restrictions and legality forms are very, very stringent, if that you say in English, yes. Like it's pretty strict. So it would be very difficult for developers to go and make a huge tower or whatever. That's not even, no way, because they have to go through a very, very large amount of processes. And also sustainability wise, actually, in the construction. So now the norms are very, very high in terms of what they need to build with. All of the heating is completely sustainable. So a lot of things go into that to keep, you know, Switzerland is like you have to see it as on the long run. It's sometimes slower. It's more difficult. It doesn't go that quickly, but it's like in 20 years' time, it's still going to be at the top of their game, if you would like, in a way.
yeah,
So,
and it sounds like long-term investors are generally what you're looking for. Uh,
mhm. And I
any other
mean,
recommendations to those? Yeah, to those who are listening, like
sure. I
what
mean,
is that
if we
profile?
look at Andermatt, I was very surprised, also even myself, in terms of how much it grew and the capital gain that it's made the last couple of years, which is about more than double than the Swiss average. So that was great to see such growth and potential gain for our investors. I believe that it's still going to go more, actually, because it's still at a good price range right now. And, you know, the supply is limited in Switzerland. And everybody kind of wants to come and live here right now, especially with everything that's going on in the world. It's kind of like, okay, you know, where do you want to live? It's still one of the best countries to live in right now in terms of lifestyle, quality of life, stability, healthcare, things that are actually very important to our clients. So
Yeah,
it's
and so
interesting to see.
it certainly is interesting. It's an interesting world also right now that we live in. That's for sure, Rachel. So, and those for those in that cohort though, clients and certainly future ones that might be listening, what is that relationship between ownership of real estate or investing in one of these properties that you can broker for them, and getting residency and perhaps living in real estate at least part time per each year that they purchase through you.
Well, actually, if we take the example of Andermatt, for example, that's also something that is very interesting for investors. Is that it's located in a canton because Switzerland has many cantons, which
Mhm.
with different regulations, a little bit like the U.S., right? Like Florida, New York State is different. So there, it's actually very, very enticing tax-wise for investors. So if they do take residence, it's very, very interesting in terms of the amount of tax benefits they get. And the residency process is quite easy to do there. We've got like notaries, we've got the lawyers, so everything is really made for an easy process for our clients. We kind of help them from A to Z with it.
Yeah, and that's great to hear. I think that's probably what otherwise could be an overwhelming sort of topic area. It's good to hear that you guys have expertise and can certainly help your clients, clients with that sort of move, if you will. And you mentioned sustainability before. I think I want to set that aside because we have a nice surprise for our listeners here about an upcoming tea brand that you'll launch. But before we get there, uh, a lot of the real estate work that you've done in the past and perhaps currently is also in the Middle East and Dubai. That's come up a lot as sort of an interesting area and a hot spot. For those who are quite a bit less initiated, maybe just know it by name or have been once, what should investors know about what's going on in Dubai currently?
I mean, Dubai now is just, it's just booming. It's crazy. A lot of different factors, economic changes. I mean, what's going on in the world now? A lot of investors now felt that, the UAE as a whole and Dubai are also seen a little bit as safe havens. Lots of security there. So the demand in real estate has really, really gone up. A lot of capital appreciation, very interesting rental yields as well for investors. And it's pretty interesting to see that, not only Dubai now has really picked up, but Abu Dhabi is also an interesting location, which is about 1 hour from Dubai. It's actually the capital of the UAE,
Hmm.
which is now also, an interesting area to invest. Uh, and if you've seen it on the TV, or it's just, architectural wise, and what they've made is pretty impressive. And we've got some great projects there as well for our clients. We've got an amazing project between Dubai and Abu Dhabi actually, which is really based on wellness. So it takes a little bit away from, investors or people who don't want to have too much of this city vibe, but still want to be living in the UAE. And it's going to be home to one of the new, it's not new, but it's going to be their first location in the Middle East, which is the Shah Wellness concept, which was launched in Spain. They have in Spain, they have in Mexico. It's very, very high-end wellness clinics, and they're basing it there in the great location and project that we're doing there, which is Al Jorf. And that one is, it's beautiful. It's with nature, very nice, by the sea, beautiful. So
Yeah,
again,
great.
I think Dubai, like the UAE, tax free, which is a benefit, easy residence, very safe lifestyle, are one of, a lot of things that people appreciate and why they want to invest or, go and live there.
Yeah, and since you mentioned, sort of wellness, sustainability, and I promise we'll still get to the upcoming launch. On the real estate side, though, just maybe, two things I want to cover. The first, though, is what is the direction of the trend in terms of, sort of what the sort of real estate investor class is looking for? What are they looking for in terms of sort of integrating wellness into real estate or tourism, vacation, sort of home that they might want to acquire.
Well, it's really all about lifestyle right now. People want to have a balance. They want to have a healthy lifestyle. They want to feel good, and they want to be efficient and great at also their career. So it's really about balancing it all. And I think this is where, these concepts come in, and people want to be living also in communities where people are like-minded and actually want to go and feel good, want to go and do their gym and workouts and, wellness mindsets. And I think that's now really a big trend that we're seeing. And we're even seeing it for the children right now. They're doing a lot of wellness for kids. It's really about wellness for the whole family. It's not like before where we could see, it's maybe an older concept, or, right, we'll see that when we need to completely detox after a couple of years. Now it's really starting from scratch, from really at a young age for the whole family, which is very interesting. It's definitely booming.
And that certainly is a significant departure, right? Than just sort of viewing, home as a sort of place to stay, right? And integrating everything from exercise, like you described, to sort of like healing, opportunities, even the way food might be prepared or consumption might be prepared,
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
way sort of design and architecture, the flow of a particular property lends itself right to certain aspects of wellness that people are after. And so how are builders, architects, and that side of the market, the supply side, how are they responding to this demand for the integration of wellness into a home?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating to see how they really now try to. They really always put themselves right in what you would want to live in and how you would want to feel things. So this is also how they then make the house, design, and how you feel flow, how you would feel good energy. Some people integrate the feng shui aspects in it as well. That's more particular, but some architects do that. And so they really see it as a whole and integrate that in the way they design. And
Yeah.
I think it's really about, having living your life to the fullest and to your full potential. People want to feel balanced and still have the family, still have the career, and be living somewhere where they feel good. And I think it's when you're in a community also where people have the same thrive to have that, it's also helpful for one to, when you see that, you get inspired. And I think that's something that people really want to have now.
Yeah, certainly it does appear to be a trend. We've observed it. It got quite a push from the pandemic era. There's a lot more mobility. People seem to have a lot more choice, sort of in where they are located, where they work, and they're spending more time at home. From the data that we've seen, more than ever before, and sort of home centric, and that might not just mean literally where they live, but sort of the town, and so on. So it seems like you're well
Yeah.
positioned, to capitalize on that. We did mention sustainability, a few times. I saved maybe it's the best for last, but one other thing that you're working on, I'd be remiss to not include in this episode is Rel Cha tea, I believe it's called, and the
Yes.
Instagram handle is
Yeah.
up. Let's unpack that for the sort of drink universe that follows us for that purpose.
Yes, well, this is an exciting project. It's going to launch in about a month, so it's not out yet, but it's brewing. And
Helpful
it's
terminology, yes.
yes, and it's a premium Swiss tea brand that we're launching, which is aiming at revolutionizing the wellness through sustainable tea blends, which are all for purpose.
Hmm.
So we've got teas for every purpose during your day, whether you sleep tea, whether it's for skin beautifying tea, detoxifying tea. So every tea for every moment, and it's going to be e-commerce based at the start. so it will be able to be purchased online. We've got the highest quality ingredients in there, and we're quite proud to actually have it completely packaged in eco-conscious materials. So from the biodegradable tea bags to all the packaging around it is all completely sustainable. So we felt that it's going to be a nice mix. It's between wellness, sustainability, feeling good, being healthy, but still, indulging in some cravings, because we've got also some nice blends for the sweet teeth people.
Sounds like a great gift also for your clients. It fits hand in glove with the real estate plays that you're involved in, at least sort of conceptually. That's for sure. And for those who are interested, how do you want them to maybe action with Rel Cha tea? At this juncture, given the launch is in a month, is there something that everyone can follow on
Sure.
social or join an email list?
Well, they can do both. They can follow on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Rel Cha T, so RELCHA, and then underscore T for the Instagram and TikTok. And then from there, it takes you through to also if you want to subscribe, and you'll be in the email list. And then as soon as it's out, you'll be notified.
Awesome. Well, we certainly have a lot of sort of food tech and sort of new food cohort around. So, should we get some relative interest in that product? It's an exciting space. We've observed and noted. While there's a lot of launches, the demand seems to be insatiable,
Yep.
and people got to drink. People got to drink something. That's for sure. But
Yes, and we want to get away from those bad sodas. Unhealthy.
yes, it does seem that is also a trajectory, less and less appetite. That is for sure. If you could only convince sports concessions, though, to get rid of soda and replace them with anything healthier, you've got my vote
Okay,
and my
great.
my dollar, my proverbial dollar, so to speak. If you
I
can
think
convince
it's
them.
gonna come. It's gonna come slowly. In the U.S., especially, it's we've seen through the years, right? You've shifted a little bit slowly towards more health conscious drinks. So it's
That's notable. Yeah, especially certainly and especially recently, it's remarkable that change. And I'm one who certainly welcomes it, Rachel.
that's great. Yeah,
Well,
we're
really
excited
great.
about it.
Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for sharing also about Royal Chat Tea. For those who are interested, that's you follow it on Instagram, sign up for the email list.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
just
yeah,
to, I just wanted to add actually, some of the teas are also going to be very good for the kids. So any children, teenage, they're very healthy for them.
you might get
So,
some
you
junior
know,
sample requests on that.
exactly.
Following that paragraph, Rachel. Lovely to
And
have you. Awesome,
thank you,
awesome
Jordan.
conversation. Yes, thanks, Gala, for enlightening us also on sort of a much more in-depth look at what's going on in Switzerland and then in UAE real estate markets. Know that there's sort of help available for sure for those that are interested in this from a wellness angle, but also from an investment angle and sort of an unorthodox hedge. That's for sure with the Swiss franc. Uh,
Exactly.
this this episode will be out on sort of every channel that you listen to out there, especially Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The article for all those listening, if you want to read along as well, will be on Brit Daily as always, and in Apple News for all of those iPhone users globally with us. And for everyone else out there, I'll give you the last word, Rachel.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you for your time. It was great to speak to you today. And, to anybody listening, reach out if you have any questions, if you want to have, a free consultation to discuss any questions you might have about, the Swiss real estate, anything, just give us a shout, go on our website, and we'll be happy to respond to any of your questions.
And thanks again, Rachel,
Thanks,
for
Jordan.
joining us. And everyone else, until next time.